Hello, I'm Tony, and welcome to the Tony Shap Show. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today, I have a special guest here with us. His name is Jake Atwood. He's a friend of mine, so this makes it more dear to me as well. We've known each other for a few years. He's helped me out a lot, and he's tremendous. And he helps out a lot of business owners as well. And I'm super excited to have him. And I've been waiting all week. I couldn't wait to get him on here. And Jake, say hello to everyone.
Hey, Tony, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure as always, man.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the Tony Shap Show. Here we would just want to kind of talk about who you are, a little bit more about your personality, where you've been, where you are today, where you're going to go, not only business, but personal, but more on the business side, obviously. And, I can't wait for people to hear about your story. So we'll start with the famous one word open. I usually kick it off. So what is a one word open for you right now, Jake?
I'd say belief. I'm just feeling a renewed sense of belief in the mission, in my personal mission, the mission for the company. I think with all the crazy times right now, it's easy to kind of like get discouraged, lose your path, maybe lose your mission, and just be scrambling to try to stay alive. And, it's time to get back to business.
Definitely. Yeah. Especially with COVID and everything going on. Business, will never be the same.
Yeah.
So talk to us about your business, how you got started and what it's all about. And so high level and as detailed as you like to get, so people have a better understanding.
Yeah, it's a bit of a different path than I'm sure other people have talked to you about. Mine was an accident. I mean, I was a consultant, about 2006, 2007, I was a sales consultant, sales coach. And, the challenge I had is as a person on the road all the time doing keynote speeches and things like that, I never had time to prospect. And I think a lot of folks out there can relate to that. We're so busy taking care of the business and everything else. We don't have time to make the calls, send emails. One thing I was seeing working well for me was this idea of cold emailing, where I could write up a really well-crafted email, click send, and after doing it a few times, finally get a response back and locked on appointments. But it was all a manual process. I was doing this out of Outlook one at a time. And so I was actually out there looking for a tool I could use that would connect to my Outlook account that would send these emails so it still looked like it came from me. And I was really kind of surprised that there was nothing out there. And so I thought, well, I'll just build this for me and maybe some of my clients want to use it as well. And I hired this 22-year-old developer living in his mom's basement, and on a shoestring budget, he built me the first version of BuzzBuilder. It actually landed me a huge payroll client in town here, and I'm doing a workshop for them. And the VP of sales gets up on stage and says, "No, the reason Jake is here is because of one word: persistence. This guy emailed me and emailed me and emailed me and just wouldn't let me go until I had a conversation with him." And of course, I get up on stage and I say, "Well, thanks for that kind introduction, but I've got a confession to make. It wasn't me. It was actually this tool I built that did all the emailing, and I'm in love with it." And so after the workshop, they cornered me and said, "What's this tool? How do we get our hands on it?" And they actually funded the build out of an enterprise version that I could then release to other companies and so forth. And there we have it. So
that's pretty cool. Well, who's your typical? Yeah, it is. I love that story. I know the first time I heard it, I was like, wow, why not? If you have to, it's kind of like along the lines of, if you have to build it, get it, do it yourself, so to speak. Right. But this is a perfect story of that. And I know you're super successful with it as well. Who's your typical client size and how do you help them?
So we really built this for small businesses in mind. My very first client was a big company, but what I found in most of my small clients, they didn't have this like team of marketing people and this team of lead generation people helping generate leads to the sales team. The sales reps, the 2 or 3 reps sometimes that there were in this small company, they wore a lot of hats. They were the marketer and the lead gen person, and they were running the appointments after they set them. So, that's a challenge when you have to tackle so many different sales tasks to be able to just generate leads. That's usually the hardest part for most of us. Most of us would admit that we're pretty good at building relationships as a salesperson and good at closing deals. We just don't have enough at bats. And so I kind of set up on a mission saying, I'm going to help small businesses compete against these larger competitors of theirs that have way more resources than they do, if we can just solve the problem of helping them reach more potential buyers.
That's awesome. And along those lines, I wanted to ask you a little bit more about, when we talk about COA, cost of acquisition, PPC is super high. There's content marketing. There's there's email marketing in terms of email newsletter or sponsorship. And we all know these things that exist, but I'd love to hear where what do you think it stands if the highest, generally speaking, PPC is the highest cost of acquisition for
Right.
most businesses, right?
Yeah.
So tell me how your BuzzBuilder helps, with that and where it stacks in terms of cold email and all
Yeah,
that stuff.
and I've tried PPC and it's valid, but you need a big budget, which most small companies like ourselves don't have deep pockets to afford. And I've done SEO, which again, a lot of our clients don't have the kind of budgets and website traffic to really generate a lot of web leads. The reason I chose email marketing is because I read a report about 10 years ago that still stands up and holds true today, which was a report by a marketing association called Marketing Sherpa, and they found that email marketing had the highest ROI, the lowest cost per acquisition, and highest success rate of any approach out there, including cold calling, SEO, content marketing, PPC, offline advertising, all of the above. And they all have their place, man. But I found that if you're a small business, you can only choose to do like one or two things, then an email campaign should have a place there for you. In most cases, it's not appropriate for everybody, but in most situations, it's going to give you the best success rate for the lowest marketing budget.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing your insight on that, because I know time and time again, I just recently saw an article in Business Insider about email, along the lines of what BuzzBuilder does. And over the years, I've always heard it's the best ROI. And so that's really great. Let's talk about your recent wins. I would love to have our listeners know a little insight into your world in terms of a recent win you've had and what you learned from it. That would be great if you could share that with us.
It's kind of fun because the more recent wins we've had have been, in a lot of cases, smaller wins. Average deal size is less than $10,000 a year. So, we go more on volume. But what we did is we actually we kind of pivoted and we repackaged our service. So we're not here just to offer the software to most clients, and then they have to figure out how they want to use it and figure out the messaging and figure out the process and where we're going to find the contacts to source to email. We created basically a marketing kit in a box. We basically built a team that you have access to. And so that's been our most recent wins. I really wasn't sure how clients would respond to this. We put some feelers out there and got some really positive feedback from people, but I just went all in on it. And we built this package program where we'll provide the lead list. We'll source them from LinkedIn. We'll build the messaging for you, do all the copywriting. We'll launch the campaigns for you and set them up. And all you do is basically just check your inbox once a day for leads. And it's been a slam dunk. And, without COVID, I don't think I ever would have come up with that as a way to keep the business moving ahead. So sometimes you think about, some of these, the pandemic in a way can be a blessing because it forces you to get outside your comfort zone, man, and just get creative and pivot the business and come up with new ways to win and new ways to help clients that are having problems too.
So true. On my previous podcast, I was talking to another business leader like yourself, and we're talking about how, there's pluses and minuses, right? With COVID is bad and good. And then we went into how there is good and you can always find good in something. But then we said, wait a second, no, it's about solutions, right? You find a solution as an entrepreneur, as a leader. So you're right on point with that. So talk to us about failures. I know failures are something that's a sore subject for a lot of us and people who like to sweep it under the rug. But we learn from failures and that's what makes us successful. So could you share with our audience a little bit more along the lines of what recent failure you had and what you learned from it? That would be great.
Yeah, just to give you guys out there a heads up, for the longest time, I had a fear of failure. I was afraid of making a bad decision and I'd look like an idiot or I'd lose a lot of money. And then I started reading books and watching podcasts, watching interviews with one successful person after another. And they all had one common thread, one common trait. They all had failed miserably on countless occasions and then just didn't let it bother them. They just kept going and they didn't really care about it. They didn't let it, drag them down. So I kind of took on that mindset. And I've had lots of failures over the years. You can't, I think, grow a business unless you're willing to take some risks. And, there's some good decisions I've made and some not good decisions I made that have cost me a lot of money. One of them, I think, what I learned is when I started BuzzBuilder, I built it with a very specific set of needs in mind, right? It was to solve a problem that was persisting with me and a lot of my clients. And so it was really built with the customer in mind. It was very customer centric. And then about 5 years later, I had this bright idea for how, I could come up with a way to leverage social media with salespeople where we could do like social listening and like marketers would do. We can find people having conversations that might be relevant to the rep and then they could follow up. And I didn't do any of the foundational stuff. I didn't go and talk to people about whether they think this would solve a problem for them. I didn't even think about whether sales reps have a problem managing social media. It turns out they did, because they weren't even doing it. So I spent like $75,000 building out this product, and it was a total bomb. And I tried for a good year to make it work. I finally just bailed on it and said, enough money has been lost, move on. And, if the phrase, if you build it, they will come, only works in the movie Field of Dreams.
So true.
That's not how you should roll out a product.
Yeah, exactly right. Wishful thinking. I mean, not to, totally. But thanks for sharing that with us. Talk to us about expenses. What is your biggest business expense as of today?
Well, developers ain't cheap. And, it's a hard expense. I'd say it is just development costs. And I think early on, my biggest expense was my lack of knowledge. I didn't come from the software background, so I didn't know what I didn't know. And what I should have done is enlisted some experts, like team up with a CIO or CTO and say, hey, I want to build a software app, let's partner up on this here. That I think is my biggest regret, is that I tried to go it solo for too long. And I made a lot of mistakes that probably cost me a lot of development time and money along the way.
Got it.
And time to market,
Got it.
Yeah.
Talk to me about, or let us know about your online, your most favorite online, what is your favorite online business tool?
Well, of course, BuzzBuilder. Aside from that bias, there's a lot of tools. We're really into the leveraging technology in our company to automate things and drive sales. There's obviously, I'm using LinkedIn a ton. We do data mining. I love finding people on LinkedIn to connect with. We do a lot of partner outreach. So I built a partner channel all through LinkedIn, just reaching out to fellow consultants and tech companies about partnering up and starting the conversation. Beyond that, we use a tool called Smart Sheets, which is a really great project management tool for organizing lots of tasks. There's a tool that I've been using for years that I kind of got away from for a while for some bizarre reason, but I've been using it more recently, and it's called Crystal Knows. So it's CRYSTAL, like the name Crystal. And basically, imagine if you're going to meet with the prospect you don't know. It'd be nice to have a kind of understanding about what's their personality profile, how do I talk to this person? And so they've got an AI tool that goes out basically and looks at all their social media profiles and posts, and it figures out, based on this algorithm, what kind of personality they are. Are they talkative and want lots of information, or are they really decisive and to the point, and you better get to the point yourself or you're going to lose them? And so it really helps me prepare for my discovery calls and conversations with new prospects and clients.
Thanks for sharing those both those tools with us. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's go into acquisition channels. So what's been the best channel for you to acquire high value clients?
It's really been multi-channel. I found there's you don't want to bank on any one channel by itself, right? Like, for example, a lot of folks will cold call, and I'll be the first to say cold calling, contrary to belief, is not dead, but it has, of course, gotten harder. And if you're only cold calling, you're going to have really limited success. Just like if you only cold email, even though I got a big bias for cold emailing, you're going to have limited success. So what we see the most success with is we'll connect with them on LinkedIn. We'll grab their email address. We'll send them a cold email campaign. When they start to engage with our emails, we start making follow-up phone calls. At the same time, we'll take those folks that we've been emailing, we'll load them into a Google and LinkedIn retargeting campaign. And people don't realize that Google and LinkedIn are willing and able to actually target a specific list of people on a list that also have a LinkedIn account or a Google account. So now at the same time, they're getting calls from us and getting emails from us. They're seeing our ads pop up all over social media, on their iPhone while they're playing Candy Crush, you name it. And we've attacked them from all these different angles, and it makes us look bigger than we really are on a really shoestring budget. But that's what it takes to get people's attention these days, is multi-channel.
Great. That's a really good gem that you shared with us. Now, here's the reverse question. So if you were in my shoes, what's one question that I should be asking you, Jake, that I haven't not asked?
Well, I see a lot of books on that bookshelf behind you, and I'm an avid reader myself. My philosophy I learned from a guy named Jim Rohn, who was like a business philosopher that passed away a few years ago. He said, the books you don't read won't help you. And so I'm an avid reader. So I might ask me, if I'm in your shoes, what's the latest book you're reading? Which would be the latest book I just started reading. I'm only a few pages in, but it's called The Trillion Dollar Coach by Bill Campbell. And I guess Bill was like a former football coach, and then he was a coach to all these big mucky mucks like Steve Jobs and and Bezos and all those guys.
No way. Are you
You've got that
serious?
book?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
This is,
just
by the way,
getting
this is
into it,
not a
but
green
I'm loving
screen.
it. And he's just a big fan in
No way. Look,
your ability to help people. He's like, just
yeah.
put yourself in a position to help other people, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
What a coincidence, you know.
That's awesome, man.
People always DM me and they're like, "Is that a green screen?" I'm like, "No, it's real." So, but yeah, what a coincidence. We both read the same book. That's
great.
awesome.
Yeah.
What a okay, cool. Thanks for everything so far. As we're coming to an end, it's kind of sad, but but it is what it is. Time, like we talked about in the beginning, time economy and your result versus results economy. So as we're coming to a close, let our listeners know how they could connect with you, about your website, and if they have any questions, more about you and BuzzBuilder and anything that you talked about on the show, how they can reach out to you.
Like I said, I'm a big LinkedIn user, so feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn. It's LinkedIn/Jake Atwood. You can also go to my website and contact us there if you want to set up a demo, see the tool. I've also got a lot of free content, free articles, and free tutorials. A lot of free email templates you can download that'll show you exactly how to craft a message that really gets people's attention. It's all on the website, buzzbuilderpro.com, and I invite you to check it out.
Awesome. Thanks for letting our listeners know. I think they'll get a lot of value out of it. And here we're at the end. What's your one-word close before we sign off?
Well, it's my motto in life: persist. Don't give up. You might find times are still tough right now. They're going to get even crazier, guys, over the wintertime. That's just the way it is. So, keep your eye on the ball. And, it could be that just making one more call, sending one more email. And I think the fact is a lot of us are failing just because we give up way too early, unfortunately.
Wow. Jake, Thank you very much. I appreciate you sharing your story, more about BuzzBuilder, yourself, and how you started it, and your gems that you use, how you run your business and your philosophy, and the tools you shared. So we're greatly honored to have you on the show, and hopefully we'll have you back soon.
Well, I'm honored. Thanks again for having me. I'm sure I'll talk to you real soon here,
right.
Tony. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jake.
See ya.
Till next time. Bye. And there you go. I hope you enjoyed it, and great to have you, and thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for the next episode. Till next time, onwards and upwards.